Everybody wants friends. I don't care if you're Sigma, Alpha, Lone Wolf on your winter arc, drinking still water and eating mayonnaise. But we are meant to be together. We were in packs during the Ice Age and prehistoric ages, killing big animals and dangerous animals like mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. You really think we did that on our own? We didn't do it alone. We had a community, we had a brotherhood, and we have love within these tribes. These are why things like this, social interactions, are so important to us. Because we want things like that so bad, because it's biologically deeply hardwired in us to want it. We want a brotherhood biologically. We want social interactions. We want good friends around us biologically, right? It's hardwired in our brain. That's why the feeling of loneliness is so crushing. It's because we're basically lacking a basic need. We desire friends, social environments, and communities. And when we have no one to call friends, right? When we're lonely, it damn near feels like the same as having no food or water. Literally being lonely is the same thing as basically starving and being dehydrated. This is how deeply hardwired it is into you, right? But becoming a social mastermind, right, and escaping this empty void, or at the very least knowing how to escape it and become a social mastermind, is very easy. So without being said, let's get into it. Section 1, just meeting a person. We know the infamous meeting someone for the first time, trying so hard to desperately find things to talk about, doing small talk, and after you ask, how's it going, or how's it doing, the anxiety of trying to break that awkward silence is crushing. You're trying to find something to talk about when the thing is right in front of your goddamn face. The person that you're talking to is the person you should talk about. So the very first and most simple way for people to like you is by listening to them actively and with intent on themselves. So this means listening to their achievements, right? Their interests, right? Because everyone loves themselves. Everyone is self-centered. I don't care how altruistic, I don't care how many puppies you saved, how many homeless people you gave food to. There's a level of selfishness and self-centered attitude. There's a part of you that's selfish and does everything for yourself. And everyone has it, right? And if you can just stroke that selfish part of them, right, they'll love you forever, right? And the way you do this is by letting them talk about themselves, their interests, their lives, ask engaging questions and statements, and never, ever, ever, ever talk about yourself unless they ask you to. I know it'll be tempting because you yourself loves to talk about yourself, right? Because you're also self-centered as well. But refrain from doing it unless they ask about yourself. Unless they ask you, oh, what is this? Then you talk about yourself, but never, ever, ever talk about yourself. The goal is for that person to not know a lot about you, but you know a lot about them. So how do you start off a conversation? Well, my personal favorite is basically commenting on something in the moment, like their appearance, right? Not like their eyes or anything. We're not trying to we're trying to make friends, right? But if they got nice shoes or maybe a shirt. Or you can ask questions about the setting. If you're in a coffee shop, right now you're asking, how the fuck am I going to ask about the coffee shop? There's a lot you can go if you just think. You can ask do you usually go here? Or you can ask, what's their favorite order? Or maybe let's say you're in an art museum and maybe you ask, what's their favorite painting on the wall? Maybe their favorite painting in general, their favorite artist. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go with this trick. And the trick is to make it genuine. People can smell genuine compliments and questions. If you're just complimenting or questioning to start the conversation, of course, it might work and it probably will work, but it will be a hell of a lot easier and they'll like you way more if they can smell that genuine compliment, that genuine question, genuine desire to want to talk to you, right? And this is better than starting off what's your name or how you're doing, because it can actually go somewhere. It can build into something deeper and develop into more things. For example, let's say you see someone and you're like, cool shirt, where you got it from? That talk about a simple nice shirt can go into, hey, are you into fashion? Let's say they say yes, right? Boom, you literally just found an interest and let them talk about it. Let's say you see someone in a vinyl store and you can walk up and ask what's their favorite artist or album, or ask what type of vinyls they're going to buy. And basically you can have like a really nice discussion about music where you're trading music recommendations. You're saying, oh, this artist is underrated. Oh, did you listen to this artist's new album? Oh, what's your favorite album? Oh, my favorite album is this. So instead of saying, hey, how are you, how's your day, then trying to desperately find something else to talk about, because in reality you don't know this person. This is the first time you're knowing this person, so there isn't really anything to talk about. So instead of doing that, right, you can either compliment something on their appearance or ask a question that relates to the person you're talking to and their environment. Now, I'm not saying this is the best way to start it, right? I'm just saying it's a very good way and it's a different way. Because we all know, like, everybody told us, oh, hey, how's your day? What's your name, right? To like start off a conversation, but obviously that's not working, so maybe you need to try something different, and this is a different way for you to do it, and it has worked pretty well for me, so I'll assume that it can work pretty well for you. The takeaway is you pick either one, and it truly depends on the situation, which one feels easier to do in the moment, a compliment or question. Now, if you like see someone that you want to talk to but are afraid that you're going to embarrass yourself or it's going to be like kind of awkward and like you feel kind of closed off in actually approaching this person, right? I promise you, as long as you think compliment or question and realize they're human too and they want social interaction too, and if you're willing to initiate it, they'll most likely open up, because humans aren't as bad or closed off as we like to think. We're open to things if someone allows us to. So open up. Granted, you might embarrass yourself. No. It's not you might. You will embarrass yourself sometimes, right? It will get awkward sometimes. And they probably won't be responsive. But if you're practicing it and you're practicing these interactions and you're understanding what cues, like what social cues, oh, I'm listening, actively listening, finding better questions, finding better segues into different things, right? When you get better at like the social, like kind of like scene, right? The social skills, these interactions of it being awkward and all this other stuff will happen less and less because you're getting better. Understand that some people just aren't socially like compatible with you, and that's totally fine. The better you get at social skills, the less the events will happen, the less these events of you making it awkward, of not knowing what to say will happen, right? Because you're getting better. So basically, you know how to actually start a good conversation. Compliment or question, just have that in your mind. And whichever one feels better for you, you do that one. And I gave you a bit of a sneak peek. But to continue the conversation, right? Because it's one thing to start the conversation, but to continue a good conversation, right? And make it a good like conversation, the goal is to try to find an interest. Like you're kind of digging for a diamond, right? And once you find that diamond, you can capitalize off of it. So how do you dig for this diamond? First, you ask questions, then they answer, and then instead of asking another question, you add a little statement, right? You add a little statement like for that answer, right? And then you ask another question. And this kind of cycle will make it feel normal. Instead of asking question, they answer, ask another question, they answer, because that sounds like an interview, right? And it gets boring after a while. But simply just adding that little statement will make it much more smooth and much more human, and they'll like you more because it feels more human, right? Let's take the vinyl store guy, right? You see a person you want to talk to at the vinyl store. He's going through vinyls, trying to find some, and you go up and ask a question. Hey, what kind of vinyl you're looking for? They answer, maybe the vinyl they're looking for is an album you really enjoy. So you can be like, ooh, that album here, I love that album. What's your favorite song from that album? They say their favorite songs. Maybe those are some of your favorite songs too. So you go, wow, we really have the same like taste in music. Those are my favorite too. I love the production, or I love the lyrics on these songs. I love like the flow on this song, right? Then maybe after that you could ask, what's your favorite album? And you see how much more free-flowing that seems, how much more natural that seems, instead of asking, oh, is this your favorite album? Oh, why are you here? Stuff like that. That sounds robotic. Wow, just adding this little statement will make the big difference. This makes the biggest difference, trust me, because it will make it seem much more natural and human, because you're giving your thoughts on the matter as well, a little bit. I know I said not to talk about yourself, but just giving those little like slight nuggets of thought will add to the conversation. Rather than just saying, what are you looking for? Is that your favorite album? What's your favorite song? I mean, that can work because you're letting them talk about yourselves, but simply adding that little statement that relates to the answer of the question and or a compliment you gave them, right, will add like a whole lot. And I'll give you another example, right? Let's say that you see a guy, pause, he got a really nice style, right? He has really nice style, really nice shoes, really nice pants. He basically put it on, right? So you compliment the shoes he's wearing, and he says thank you. And then you can say where you got them from. Maybe he says the website. Then you can say something like, I've always been wanting to get into fashion and learning how to dress. You got any website recommendations? Hopefully he has website recommendations, or at least store recommendations where he got his stuff from. And they say some, and you could be like, are you into fashion maybe? And maybe they say yeah, and you've literally found an interest for them, and you can let them talk about fashion. Let them talk about, oh, how did they get into fashion? Or what's their favorite like dress, like what's their favorite way to dress? Like what's their favorite pants? What's their favorite shoes? What's their favorite like shirt? Or maybe like what like kind of like garments that they don't like, right? Or like how did they learn how to dress so well? Like who's their inspiration? You can like really deep dive into that, right? And you found that diamond, right? And then you ask questions with that diamond. All this like small talk like that small talk stage is just to find that little diamond so you can capitalize and sell it all for profit. And the profit is allowing them to talk about themselves and basically you giving them a very good first impression. Now, if you can't find a statement for a question, it's totally fine. Just make sure the conversation doesn't flow like question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. It can also flow like this: question, answer, statement, question, answer, statement. You can ask questions back to back to back, but make sure to add statements when you can think of one, right? That relate to those answers that they gave you, because this is gonna like set you apart from like 90% of people. 90% of people just ask questions over and over and over again, but they don't have statements, right? As long as you sprinkle some statements into that like kind of cycle, right, you can ask as many questions as you want, but just make sure to add some statements, and that's all. After asking countless questions and statements, you found that diamond, right? And once you find that diamond, that interest, boom, let them talk about it until they can't talk about it anymore. And that's how you make a really, really good first impression. Maybe if you want to develop the friendship and brotherhood further, you ask for socials, their number, Instagram, right? Or if you were just doing for practice, that's fine. And just end it right there until they can't talk about it anymore and say, it was nice talking to you, peace out. And maybe you like your first impression was so good, maybe they'll ask for your socials, right? And basically you can develop that friendship further by applying these principles that I'm going to say in section 2. Section 2, maintaining friendships. So you made a great first impression. Maybe you've been talking a lot here and there, developing and building that friendship. Now it's time to go and maintain it. And how do you maintain a friendship? Well, first, the very first thing is to never make your friends feel like they're inferior to you. Never make them feel like you're better than them. And why is that? Because when people like feel inferior, they don't feel important. And when they don't feel important, right, and they basically start to resent you, right? If they don't feel important with you, they'll start to resent you. And they'll just start not to like you anymore, even if you made that good first impression, right? So how can you make your friends not feel inferior to you? First, and I mean never overly and harshly criticize them. You can criticize people, but never harshly criticize them, and never continuously harshly criticize them over and over and over again. You ever had a person that just randomly just started harshly criticizing you, and you're like, yo, this guy's a weirdo. I don't like this guy, right? Like that's going to be the same thing if you do it to them, right? So first, never overly and harshly and consistently criticize these people. I mean, you know, it's okay to goof off, you know, fuck with them, call them names, this and that, bully them a little bit, have like that fun, right? But if you're actually criticizing it and doing it in a harsh manner consistently, they're gonna like start to hate you basically, because people hate when they're like being criticized. And you can actually criticize in a respectful manner. But if just everything they do, how they work, how they talk, right, everything about them, if you're harshly criticizing them, they're going to start to hate you. So one, to maintain a friendship, never harshly criticize. Do it like in a respectful way, which can be as simple as just saying it with softer and more inviting phrases, such as, I might be wrong, but I think like this or that, or I feel like you do this a lot. Another thing is to fiercely admit you're wrong with pride. As soon as you realize it, admit that you're wrong with pride and kind of be proud that you're wrong, right? And now, admitting you're wrong isn't going to make people, like, not admitting you're wrong, not admitting you're wrong isn't going to make people resent you or anything. Maybe just get a little bit of annoyed with you and probably, like, kind of, like, push off, like, arguments because they know you'll never admit you're wrong. Even if you know, like, even if they're absolutely destroying you, they'll just refrain from the debates or arguments because they know that you're not gonna, like, concede, right? But the real beauty in this is that admitting you're wrong with pride makes people respect you more. So this isn't necessarily to stop people from resenting you. It's more so to make people, like, respect you and like you more. So whenever you and, like, this newly found friend get into an argument or a debate and you realize, oh, I'm wrong in this, right? Like, admit it with pride. Like, kind of be proud that you're wrong. Be like, I'm wrong. Kind of like having a smile on your face. So whenever you and, like, this new friend gets into an argument or a debate and you realize you're wrong, be like, I'm wrong. And be proud of yourself that you are wrong. And this will make them like you even more and respect you even more because you have that level of humility to be like, oh, I'm wrong. My fault. I'm wrong. And since you have the humility to say, I was wrong, they won't feel inferior. They'll feel equal to you because you have said that their view on the matter was right and yours were wrong. It will make them feel important and hold you in a high regard. The third thing is to never boast or, like, don't overly tell your friends how great you are in all your accomplishments and this and that. And kind of, like, give them no room to say their own accomplishments because you're just constantly talking about what you do, what you did, right? Basically, let them have room to talk about what they did, what they're proud of, their accomplishments, right? Because once you give them this space, right, they'll feel comfortable going to you about, oh, I did this and that. And when you're not, like, trying to one-up them and you're simply just congratulating them and listening to them about their accomplishments and being proud of them, they'll like you more because you're making them feel important because you're listening to their accomplishments. And also, if you're trying to one-up your friends, like, what are you, bro? Like, be proud for your friends, bro. That is literally that simple. Just be proud for your friends and allow them to have space to be proud for themselves instead of trying to say, oh, but I did this, right? So to make your friends feel important and not feel inferior to you, 1, never harshly criticize them. 2, whenever you get into an argument or a debate with them, admit with pride. Once you realize that you're wrong, admit with pride that you're wrong. It will show you that you have the humility to say that their perspective is over yours, and that will make them respect you more, right? And since they're right, it will make them feel like you're important to them, right? And 3rd, never boast and never overly share your accomplishments. Give them room to say their accomplishments and what they're proud of and be proud of them. And basically kind of like be like a proud dad, like that, a little kid's telling them their accomplishments, right? Be supportive and congratulate them. Because, again, those memes where they're trying to one-up each other, right? Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy that's trying to one-up everybody. It just makes you seem like a brat and insecure. Next thing you have to do is invite these people to places. Do things with these people. It will create memories and strengthen your bond. Just texting or FaceTiming these people aren't enough, right? Back in the old days, we weren't really texting. We were going out with each other. And those bonds are as, like, they're strong. They're strong. Those bonds back in the day, like, your family probably has friends. Like, your mom and dad probably has friends from 20, 30 years ago. You think they were doing, like that, like, kind of, like, social, like, well, they didn't, I don't even know where I'm going with this. They didn't have social media, but let's say they did, right? You think that it was strengthened if they were just talking on social media, FaceTiming on social media? No, they went outside and had memories which strengthened the relationship. If you want to have a really good relationship with people, right, it's not only on the screen, right? You need to do things IRL, in real life. And maybe do things that interest them. Maybe invite them to things that interest them. Maybe they like skateboarding. You can invite them to go skating and teach you. Maybe you invite them to something you like, or you invite them to something that none of you have ever experienced. Maybe a new food place or something. Basically, just invite them to things to create memories and meet these people in real life, not just on the screens, right? Invite them to do things, and that's how you maintain a friendship, by doing things with each other in the real world, not just on the screen. And also, inviting them to these places strengthens and builds the relationship. So maintaining and building a friendship is as simple as not making them feel inferior and inviting some things that align with their interests, maybe your interests, or something new that none of you have experienced it, and experience those things together. And that's how you strengthen a bond, and that's how you basically maintain a friendship. Section 3, how to practice social skills effectively. It's a skill, meaning you're going to have to level it up. Because look, you can just know all of this, right? But not actually do it. And if you don't actually do it, you won't actually develop the social skills and master the art of building friendships and relationships. So what I'll say is just whenever you feel like you want to talk to someone, do it. Don't try and look for people to talk to. Just when the time is right, and the event comes where you see someone that you want to talk to and they seem interesting to you, talk to them. And try and create a good first impression. Ask questions, compliment them, do the statements. You can even practice this on pre-existing friends or just people in general. Practice on listening more rather than talking more. Practice on smoothly building a flow to a conversation with questions and statements, right? With your family. Maybe you get in an argument with your mom, right? But instead of arguing with her, admit that you're wrong, admit it with pride that you're wrong, right? And have pride in that, right? Let's say you have little cousins, right? And you're kind of making them inferior by criticizing them all the time. Try to refrain from not criticizing them. Or your friends, if you criticize your friends, try to refrain from not criticizing your friends and try to criticize them more respectfully, right? And maybe you have family that you haven't seen in a while, but you want to see, invite them to places, invite your friends to places, right? Build those relationships, create those memories, right? And basically, you can do all of this with pre-existing friends, family, or new people. But the point is that just get the volume in. Just try to consciously try to do these things, because once you successfully do that thing, you get a level of XP. Right? And every time you do that thing, it stacks up, and that XP stacks up until you level up. And once you level up to a certain point, these things start to become second nature and they start to become easy for you. Treat it like a game. That's the best way to practice your social skills effectively. I just want to add that I have free one-on-one coaching calls where I help young guys lost in their journey of self-improvement gain clarity and knowledge on how to actually start progressing in their goals without the uncertainty on whether they'll achieve their goals or overcome their roadblocks. So again, it's free. You just book the one-on-one call and we could just talk about whatever you feel like is stopping you from making progress and finally accelerating and making that progress in your goals. And if you're interested, again, links in the description below this video. It's also free again. But anyways, that's all I have for you today. I wish you luck on your journey, and peace.